Welcome to Untamed Social. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Lainey.
Today's topic is awesome. We're going to talk about cut the BS, the struggle for authenticity in social media.
Yeah, because it's a struggle for a lot, I feel like.
Yes, it really is. I think that it's not getting better. I think that like our lives are lived on our phone now, so we're really putting up that like front that our life is so great. It's so perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like most of the content that we consume these days, it's people doing the same thing. So then
Yes.
the level is raised, the expectation is raised for how we have to show up. And so it just is getting worse and maybe not better. I feel like in the beginning there for a little bit, like a couple of years ago, there was like this shift, right? From this really polished look with your social media, and we were starting to get into a more authentic vibe, but
Yeah.
now I'm not quite sure that we're there anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, and AI isn't helping either.
No.
There's a lot going on there, but that's a whole other topic for another day.
Yeah. Yes.
For us, we're in a unique situation because, well, we're kind of leaders of a company. So, we kind of have to lead with authenticity. And especially in this business, we run a social media business. We've got team, we've got ourselves, we've got our clients, and I think we do a really good job of that in our roles because we're so different, and unique, and we really embrace those strengths.
Yes.
Like I'm the anal project manager, and you're more of the creative kind of free spirit, and I think it works well for our type of business.
Yeah, I think that with us being kind of different, it allows us to show up more as ourselves and more authentic because people know what to
Yes.
expect. And I think it gives them
Right.
diversity because if you have people on the team who are more like you and they are more detail oriented and, really great at project management, then they're going to gravitate towards you. Whereas if there's somebody like Anna on the team who really thrives in creativity and that side of things, then they're going to gravitate more towards me. So I feel like it helps our team too to have that diversity.
Absolutely. And I think it's great that we can showcase that we embrace our strengths. We're not trying to be something that we're not. And I think that's a good way to kind of tell our team how to embrace their own strengths as well.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that obviously in leadership, what you portray is what your team is going to do. So,
Right.
in fact, recently I was in a webinar with James. What is his last name that writes the Atomic Habits book?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember his last name. But anyways, and even he was talking about that like when it comes to leadership,
Yeah.
like your team is going to mimic how you are. So the more authentic you are,
Yes.
then the more authentic they're willing to be.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think it kind of starts with leadership. And I think
Yeah.
one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later, we're gonna get into some stories with some celebrities and other stuff. But it doesn't matter how big your company is. You kind of really have to take it from the top down. If you want other people to
Yeah.
instill the same type of characteristics.
Definitely.
And we've been through a lot of different scenarios too with our team. Different, they call it like right people, right seats. And we've had people in the wrong seats, and we've had the wrong
Yes.
people. So it really had to work on like what is somebody's true strength. And you know how like back in the day when we went to job interviews, it would be like, oh, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? And even you twist your weaknesses that they would be strengths.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
I feel like we've totally embraced like the culture of being real about what you're really great at and what you're not, so that we could work with each other that way.
Yeah, and I think that's something that like works really well within Strella also is the idea of the right people in the right seats, but also we want to keep people in what they're great at. As much as it's helpful to have people doing lots of different things, we also know that we're not going to get the best results if we don't have them like authentically in the place that they love to be. So if they're doing a bunch of tasks that they're not enjoying, then their work isn't going to match up with that.
Absolutely.
So I think that that's something that we've done really well. And by we, I mean you, that you've done really well is making sure that, not only are they able to like authentically be themselves, but they can authentically love what they're doing.
Right. Absolutely. I totally think that we do that well. And we check in with our team to make sure that we're on the right track, and you have to be willing to accept feedback from the team as well. Like if we're not doing something that they feel like we should be doing. And I think that's a big part of being an authentic leader as well as being able to accept feedback.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about our clients for a minute because that's fun. You know, here's the thing I've learned about social media. A lot of people just don't really know what they don't know. And they're used to living in like the professional world where you show up and this is how you did certain things. Social media has totally changed the game. And we have some clients who struggle, to find their voice or authenticity online because it's just new for them. So I thought we could talk a little bit about like how we guide them in that circumstance. Because I know we just had a really interesting conversation with one of my clients on Monday about his blog because it's very technical, lots of information, but I need to know who this guy is. Why would I want to work with him? And really that has to come through and pulling that out takes some time. You really have to give them concrete examples.
Yeah, you definitely do. Well, and I think that, that's one of the reasons why we have kickoff meetings. In my mind, I am there to listen to how they're talking about their business, how they're, using language and what their tone is, because I feel like the more that we can really evaluate how they show up in person, then that allows us to show up exactly like them on social media, which I think also is a struggle for a lot of people when they are looking for social media management, is they're like, am I going to find somebody who can really like show up and talk to my audience the way that I would talk to them? Mainly younger clients, I feel like, struggle with that. The older ones are more like, keep it real professional. And, and I don't think that they understand that they wouldn't talk. I mean, there are some instances where they would speak like that in real life, but, for this specific client, he works one-on-one with these businesses and these CEOs. And when you talk to him, he's very straightforward, very blunt, tell it like it is. And his blogs aren't necessarily showing that. And I think that people actually like to hear somebody who's going to tell them the hard truth, the things that they don't want to hear.
Yes, that makes it relatable too. You don't want to, you can get this type of technical information anywhere. You really want to know what you're going to get by working with this particular person. And you have to have that personality, and the way that they handle things kind of shine through. So, one of the things that we try to get people to understand too is like there's got to have some sort of authenticity to have long-term success on social media. And Lainey's like, you're so good at explaining that to our clients. I would love to hear you just pitch to me. I'm a client. How should I be sustainable, and authentic, and why does that matter long-term?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, social media is flooded with all kinds of people in every industry. Whether you think that you've got something special or not, at the end of the day, you don't. Somebody else is probably doing what you're already doing. So what actually puts a spin on what you do and makes you unique is how you show up. People buy people, and they're not going to buy your product or your service. They're buying into you as a human. And so if you're not showcasing your true personality on social media and it feels stiff and they can't differentiate you between, who you are and Joe Blow who's doing the exact same thing, then they're less likely to buy from you if you're not showcasing who you are. It's about creating that relationship based on personality, which means you have to have your personality actually come through.
Yes. Absolutely, 100% agree. And again, it's a struggle. It's a struggle if you're not used to that. It takes some time to get used to it. But once you see that, like a great example, we work with a comedian. You can't get more authentic than a guy who's a heavy guy making fun of himself in something called fat milestones. And I just love that. And it's funny because it is relatable and it is authentic. And that's what works. So
I want to get in my car and drive to my mailbox. It is so relatable.
yes, and that's that's obviously a really easy example, but I just think everybody should start thinking like that. Like, how can I get in my zone or my place where I'm comfortable with myself to be able to showcase how I really am online?
Yeah, and that I feel like also, especially with this client that we're talking about with his blog, that involves storytelling in all
Yeah.
aspects. The best way to showcase your personality, the easiest way, is to tell stories, whether that's
Yeah.
with past clients or transformations you've experienced yourself. That is the easiest way for you to actually portray who you are deep down and relate to other people.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And you're actually they're going to remember a story more than they were any of the data that you're going to put,
Oh, yeah.
in that post. So,
Yeah. Yes.
gosh. Oh man. So, where do we want to go from here? I think one of the things I've been asked a lot lately is about social media strategies, like, and how do we do that? Like, how do we align our social media strategies for our clients and for our team? So, we have these kickoff meetings, we try to extract as much information as we possibly can, but tying that together into a strategy is really like where the magic happens.
Yeah, I think it 100% is. And it all, I think, really correlates with what the tone
Yeah.
is for your business. If
Yeah.
you are someone who's looking to provide peace, for instance, whether that's like a medical spa or, something like that, where you have this more calming tone to your business, then the way that you approach it needs to be incorporated in that strategy. It's all about how you actually portray it to people. And if you're coming out and you're like, come on over and get your massage, and no, you want the words to encompass that tone that you want to portray, because at the end of the day, you're trying to get that emotional pull. Now, for instance, with the client with the blog, with him having a more blunt tone, that's actually a really great way to show authority in his field. And so you want to incorporate that with the strategy. Not only are you going to have a tone that is blunt and authoritative, you're also going to have content that matches up with that as far as expertise. So
Yes.
you tell them the truth and then you give them a solution, and that's how you line it up together.
Perfect. That's a great analogy for it. Great, like, formula. I think one of the things that we do that when you really think about it and it boils down to is we're building a brand. Like, most people don't realize they already kind of have one, and they don't know how to extract what that looks like online. And that's what we're doing for them. We're really translating their brand to the online space, and it is a struggle because it is different for a lot of people. When you see the written word or you see it on video, it makes it more permanent, and I think that's scary to people.
Yeah, I think it definitely is. Just getting past those fears that you have of judgment is a big one. But, most of the time your clients are going to be really in alignment with who you are as a person. And I think
Yeah.
people forget that. Especially if they're going for somebody who maybe they think in their mind has more money than them or has more education or something like that, then they feel like they aren't leveling up to who their actual client is. And the truth is that most of your clientele is going to come from people who are exactly like you.
Right, right. Or want to be like you. I mean, really.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about social media trends for a minute, because there are people who, it's kind of a love or hate thing with social media trends. You could jump on that bandwagon and it's like so exciting, and you get like that immediate gratification because usually it's going to perform well. It's a trend. But then there's also I don't want to do that. That doesn't make any sense to me, and I've kind of navigated both of those, just trying to play around in my own TikTok, and I do
Right.
get that, oh man, this is cool. Like, I just hopped on this trend and I've already got thousands of views. But then I'm also like, well, so what does that do for me?
Right. It gives you a boost in how you feel about yourself. It's vanity at the end of the day. Yeah.
not really, but it's cool. It's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
something I did
But I
people
mean,
actually liked.
yeah, that the truth of it, that's what a lot of people are doing, especially these influencers, is that they're looking for that validation for themselves. And the vanity, it feels good. It feels good whenever you see those high views. And is it actually meaningful? Is it doing anything for you? Maybe not, but internally it feels nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that like we struggle with that with some of our clients too. Some of them have like the shiny object syndrome, where they see something and they just want to jump on that bandwagon, you know. And it's also like trying to inform them that nah, it doesn't really align with your brand though if you're gonna jump on that trend, you know.
Yeah.
And then we have other clients who like, you know, they don't know anything about trends and they don't really get how that would help them anyway. So, but we're also trying to say for your business, maybe it might fit, you know, whatever it is that we have going on.
Right.
So it's just trying to inform people of the different things that you want to take advantage of and what you don't want to take advantage of.
And I feel like it's always one or the other. Like, there's never an in-between client. It's always one client who's like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not me. And then you have the other one who's like, can we please do a trend? And it's like, that isn't what you should be doing.
Totally. You never know what you're going to get. But I think we do a good job of trying to get the real selves no matter what it is that they're doing. You know, that authenticity needs to shine through. And I think it's hard for people too who like, you know how some people are writing people, I'm more of a writing people, camera person, you're more of a camera person. If you're like, find a writer person, you tell them to get on camera, it's like deer in the headlights. There's something that's very unnatural for them about that. And then they freak out. Like you actually see them on camera and they do look unnatural.
Right.
You know, just trying to really get them to embrace, like being comfortable in different types of content forms. That's a challenge sometimes.
Yeah, it is. But again, I think it all comes down to like how you speak is how you would talk in real person. You're going to attract friends in real life based on how you show up in real life. The same is for video content. If you're talking to the camera like you would to a friend, then you're going to attract the type of people who would want to be your friend at the end of the day.
Right. That's a really great way to say it. Just talk to somebody like they're your friend. Like, if the camera's on, I know it's weird, but
it's definitely weird.
You get used to it, right? But talk to somebody like you're like you're talking to a friend, you know?
I mean, I feel like I definitely have gotten used to like talking on camera, but if I have to do it with other people around me, no.
I know what you mean.
If I'm alone, I'm good. But like if other people are in the mix, nope. It's not happening.
I know what you mean. Like if my husband's running around while I'm trying to film a video, something seems really weird about it. I was like, I gotta wait till he's done.
And then it makes you question, like, how authentic am I? You know, like how authentic am I actually being?
It's a challenge for everyone, right?
Yes. It
Even the
is.
social media experts.
It really is.
Oh, well, before we go into a little game we're going to play here, is there anything else you want to say about this topic as far as authenticity, social media, professional-wise, business-wise, anything?
Yeah, I think I really think that, like I said before, we started on this trend of showing up more authentically on social media, but I feel like it's kind of dying a little bit, and there is a desperate need for us to pull it back. And I think that there's this creator, I don't know if you've heard of her, but her name is Kylie Pitts. And she's this Southern stay-at-home mom who has blown up on TikTok recently. And, you know, people are in shambles over the fact that she gained like 40,000 followers in less than 2 weeks. And she's earned enough money on TikTok that she's bought a new house, a new car. Like, she's killing it. She's absolutely crushing it. And all she does is just show herself cleaning her house on a normal day-to-day basis with like a voiceover over it. And people can't understand it. And at the end of the day, it's because of her authenticity. So that alone is proof that there's a desperate need for authenticity because it's dying, and she's doing it. And so of course she's getting tons of followers and money.
It's kind of like she's on a reality show that she narrates, though.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
she's by herself. She's like washing her curtains every week. You know?
I mean, that's actually, I would do it. I would do something like that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
but does she like? I mean, are you watching her all day, or is it like live streaming, or is it like she's editing the video for a day?
No, she's editing the video. She might do 2 or 3 posts a day. She
Okay,
also
I
is
see.
really known for like this special coffee that she makes every morning. But like that's really all that it is. She's just showing how she cleans her house every day. So people like that.
Hey, you know what? I would do it. I love reality television, but we all know there's like not a whole lot of reality in that. But it's as close as I
Yeah.
can get to like not having to watch the scripted stuff. But
Exactly.
I'll give everyone a piece of advice. If they want to feel like really relaxed and more authentic, just get a gummy, a marijuana gummy. That
Please,
will do the
let's
trick
all
for you.
witness it. Let's all witness it.
If anyone wants the video, see me.
I hope you know I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard. Like, it was so good.
Yeah, word of the wise too. Don't take like a full gummy that's like 50 milligrams all at once and swallow it whole. Pace
Your
yourself.
husband was feeding you. He was getting your dinner ready. It was so good.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't remember much of it. I'm glad I recorded some of it.
The fact that you thought I need to record this in that moment is amazing.
I wish I would have recorded the whole night. Oh, man. All right, now we've had
So
some
funny.
fun. Let's move on to something called real or not real. So we're just gonna break down a couple of people that have been known maybe for like their wholesomeness or like their brand online a certain way, but then other things are coming into the picture that made me think, well, I don't know if they're like actually legit, like for real people online. So we'll start with Ellen. All right, so I have to admit, the only time I've ever watched the Ellen show is when I'm at the dentist and it's on that screen. I never like watched the whole show, but my mom used to talk about it all the time and how great Ellen is and all these things that she does in the show, gives away things. But she has a brand called Be Kind, which I looked into. You know, it's like sustainable, like really give backy kind of stuff, you know, it's just a little bit more like non-cruelty, all that. So that's her brand. And obviously, if you've watched her show, she's also all about giving things away, you know, like always
Yes.
giving back. But some reports kind of surfaced that there was some toxic stuff going on with her employees and her team. And I read the longest article ever on the whole thing, you know, where employees are basically coming out and saying like, oh, well, her leadership team, you know, they were racist, they treated us poorly, they fired us for poor reasons, and you know, obviously Ellen doesn't care.
Yeah, no, she doesn't care. But I also think this is when I'm going with not real, because there's too many people chirping the same things for it not to be true.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about brand, like their actual person, are they real? I'm actually going to go with real because I run a business and I know how hard it is when you're growing. And she's had over like 1,000 employees, you know, on that show. I know how hard it is when you have people in place and then things just, you know, seem to crumble at certain paces. Now, should I know about it and handle it? Yes. But I think this was just her, like, trusting her executive team, leadership team to handle things. And, like, she didn't hear any issues personally. So how is she to know?
Yeah. Well, I will say, I do think that she is probably authentic in, like, the giving part of her life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there are certain people who just, like, literally have a heart for giving. And I do think that that is authentic. But the
Yeah.
way that she shows up on her TV show versus maybe how she is in real life, I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, she seems pretty inaccessible, and like that's not her brand on TV. I will say that. Based on everything that I've read and seen, it's like she's like locked behind a golden door. Nobody can ever get to her. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another one that's really, popular, Kardashians. And, specifically, I think the things that, I mean, there's a lot you could say about all of the different, Kardashians that are part of the show, but as a family unit, how they kind of portray themselves, like something always happens, and then the other family members all rally around to help, and they're like, ha, but like we're hearing that's not really how it is. That's just for TV. What do you think?
I don't know. I think that, they share a lot of their lives on social media, obviously their show, but they also on a day-to-day basis. I'm on Snapchat and I follow Khloe Kardashian on Snapchat, and they're always together. I mean, her and her family are in every single video. Like, there's usually not a video where one of the Kardashian sisters or Jenner sisters isn't involved. So as far as the family aspect, I think that's authentic. I think they truly, really value each other. I overall, I'm going to go with real all the way across the board, because I do think that they're very vain, but I think that's just truly who they are.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just truly who they are.
Oh, man. I want to go definitely real on the family side. The social media side, the public side, I just don't know for sure. It's so hard. Fame does something to you, and I think that they're so successful, that maybe they aren't always like who they are when they're on social media, whatever they're doing. Like, that's kind of like what their brand is now. Like, it's to just be an entertainer. Like, I think about Paris Hilton. One of our clients recently actually met her in person. And, he confirmed that all these things that she's done in the past and the things that she's been in the media about, that's all just part of her act. It's part of her brand.
Yeah, right. But I wonder also, like, if the show and the fame and all of that has really transformed their personalities completely into making that who they are. So, like, they really now are exactly who they're showing up as because of the fame.
Yeah, yeah. It's exactly what I was thinking when I originally mentioned it too. Like, you changed in this process.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You do.
Okay. All right. I do not know how to pronounce this lady's name because I didn't hear about her till today. So.
Huda Katan.
Okay.
She is the CEO, creator, all of that of Huda Beauty. And so I'm pretty sure she got her start on like YouTube, and I mean, people just have always really thought of her as this makeup expert, and that she is, authentic because she kind of shared her life on YouTube and on social media. But really, she built her following on that beauty expertise, but some are saying that it's too perfect. Like, her life is just too perfect. And even though she does share some of her struggles, she's not really like portraying her lifestyle the way that it is on a day-to-day basis. Okay.
All right. The one thing that caught my eye, I saw this in one of her profiles. So she has one for the business, one for herself. It said no filters, like no edits, something like that. And all I could think about, though, is just looking at her presence, you could tell she's had some work done. Like, she's very, like, you could tell. So I think about that aspect of being real, like, obviously not you own this beauty company, but, like, how real are you if, like, you're saying no filters, but you've obviously had work done?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's one perspective.
I'm just saying.
You're making me feel like I shouldn't get Botox anymore. Like, it takes away from my
filters, all authentic, all over your stuff. Like,
it just takes away from my authenticity. I don't know. I this is a hard one, but just because I also like don't follow her too much, but I did recently see a video where they have this new foundation, and she did come out and say that there was a big mistake with the launch of it. Because one of the shade ranges was incorrect, and she owned her mistake big time. Because it was a really, really big deal in the Black community because of the shade difference in what it was
Yeah.
supposed to be and what was actually produced. So I appreciated overall like her approach to just fessing up and saying, look, we made a giant mistake and we're correcting this. So I'm gonna go real.
Yeah, yeah. See, and I didn't actually really follow her till today, so I can't fully make a decision there. But I'll go with real just based on what you've said, and if that's like sustainably authentic, like she continues to show up like that, I would say real.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
Nah. All right. Well, I think we're probably gonna have to call it a day, huh?
Well, this was fun.
This
I
was a
mean,
lot of fun.
every time that I do one of these and it's somebody new on the team, I think it's so cool to see like the different aspects of like our relationships together.
Yes, yeah. Just wait. We're all gonna be in the same room soon.
I know. God bless anybody that has to witness it.
I'll bring the gummies. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into the Untamed Social Podcast, and we will see you next time.
Bye.